Welcome back to the Sense of Life podcast. I'm Joe, and today we have, I guess first I should say, this is a re-recording of the intro. We had a bit of a technical hiccup on the initial recording, so the first about 4 minutes of the intro was one-sided. Only my audio was recorded, and I am just recording this to kind of fill in that space. We are watching two Polanski films, 1988's Frantic and 1992 Bitter Moon, both starring Harrison Ford in Frantic and Hugh Grant in Bitter Moon, as well as Roman Polanski's wife, who is actually, he's still married to her today. Emmanuelle Sagnier, I think is her last name, French last name. So yeah, that is what this episode is, and hopefully I can find a spot to kind of clip this in where it doesn't seem too jarring, going from this to whatever we were talking about, wherever I clip it in. And yeah, sorry about that, and hope you enjoy the episode.
Okay, so Frantic. First of all, these two movies are kind of relevant in Polanski's career because they both star co-star really, Emmanuelle Sagnier. I think is how you pronounce that name. It's French.
Sounds French to me.
And who is his current wife, and I think they met on Frantic, I want to say, or he met her before, and Frantic was her breakout role.
Yeah, it says that they got married in '89, so like a year after that movie came out. So
yeah,
and they've been married ever since, I think.
Yeah, I think they have 2 kids. So yeah,
Yeah.
Been together a while. They also did a movie together called Venus and Furs back in 2013. I've seen it. It's not great, but it's Polanski, so it's like watchable.
Right.
And it's about this person putting on like a play, and the guy they get to play the director of the play looks exactly like Roman Polanski in like 1977. It's psychotic.
That's pretty cool.
And Emmanuelle Sagnier plays the actress in the play, so it's an interesting connection there. This is an American-French co-production, and it's classified as a neo-noir mystery thriller. Fans of Chinatown would recognize Polanski as arguably the reigning king of the neo-noir mystery thriller.
Yeah. This was a damn good movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Frantic's like a sleeper hit, and it was a sleeper hit when it came out. It flopped commercially, but gained like cult classic status, and
I think Ennio Morricone did the music for it, so that's pretty awesome too.
And I think this might be like one of, if not my favorite, Harrison Ford performances.
Yeah, he's really good in this.
Yeah,
I think Harrison Ford kind of always delivers.
Yeah.
I haven't seen most of his newer like stuff when he's fucking old. I don't know if he still got it, but he definitely had it then.
Yeah, from probably like the 70s to the 90s, he really was like a force to be reckoned with.
There's what was it? There was a it was a Family Guy bit about Harrison Ford movies where it's just Harrison Ford running down the sidewalk, grabbing people by the scruff of their shirt and being like, "Where's my wife? I want my family back."
And that's this movie.
Yeah.
So he plays this surgeon that comes to Paris with his wife for a medical conference, and it's really Polanski doing a take on Hitchcock. I think it's most directly connected to like Vertigo, but maybe a bit of like North by Northwest.
Yeah.
Um, and it's the everyman protagonist that's like caught in the center of a conflict that's bigger than he can ever imagine.
Yeah.
But the difference between like Hitchcock and Polanski is Hitchcock is very cold, and I think it probably depends on the movie, but I think he kind of generally hates his characters or doesn't really have a strong feeling about them.
Right. He's very
Uh,
detached in the way that he
yeah,
creates the character, so like all the horrific shit he does to them can he's fine with it.
yeah. Yeah, and Polanski's far more of a romantic. I
Yeah.
think is fairly clear in both of these movies. I I call this the uh, Roman Polanski sure does love his wife duology.
Yeah. And we should call the episode that Roman Polanski sure loves his wife.
Yeah, that was my idea for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
um, his wife is the like she's like the Faye Dunaway character in Chinatown in this movie.
Hmm.
Um, and but the movie is about Harrison Ford. His wife gets kidnapped by like Muslim terrorists or something. Um, exactly what's happening, I really don't care about. um, and he just spends the whole movie trying to find her. Like he goes in deep into like the Parisian underground or whatever. Um,
Yeah, yeah. The whole thing with like I was not expecting it to be like Muslim terrorists
yeah,
that kidnapped his wife. I was like, "Oh, this is very intriguing. Who could have taken his wife?" I thought for a while there, I thought like the hotel like front desk guy was in on it for some reason. He was just had this weird
okay,
look
yeah.
about him, and I was like, "Oh, there's some weird conspiracy going on." But no, it was
Nope, he's just
Arabs.
French.
Just Arabs.
Yeah,
There's like the part near the end where he tries to make the exchange with them, and then the Israeli like Mossad guys show up and
yeah,
like blow the whole thing, and the like Turkish Cypriot guy gets killed in the car, and they're like looking through his wallet afterward. And she's like, "Oh, I took his wallet." And Harrison Ford's like, "You took his wallet?" She's like, "Was I not supposed to?" It's like, well, typically
what
you
was I
don't.
supposed to
Typically, you don't take wallets off of dead people, but whatever.
do?
Uh, and
Go off,
uh,
Queen.
and then he's like looking and he's like, "Oh, he's from Cyprus," and it's like, what?
Oh,
Insane.
by the
plot.
way,
Uh,
yeah, it's a very like Hitchcock kind of plot.
yeah, it was kind of neat because like there you could tell he didn't really have like he loves his wife.
Yeah,
Talking about Harrison Ford's character, not Roman Polanski. But both are true, I guess. Like you
right.
can tell he really loves his wife, and there's like basically no chemistry between him and Michelle, the like leading lady of the movie, beyond
Yeah,
like they're in the situation together kind of thing.
yeah. It's really funny, like all
Yeah,
the times they have to like get naked together and like sell something, and it's like barely working.
yeah. The best part about the like everyman part of Harrison Ford in this is when he climbs into her room and gets naked and is laying in the bed and has to pretend to be her boyfriend to kick the two dudes out that are in her apartment, like harassing her. Uh,
Yeah,
and then he tries to act crazy. He's like, I think he literally says the words, he's like, "You better back off. I'm an American and I'm crazy." and then the guy punches him in the face and it knocks him out. It's like he really wasn't, he wasn't cut out for this.
yeah.
He got knocked out cold for hours and was transported to a completely separate location from a single punch.
Yeah. Another scene similar to Chinatown when Gittes is in the like the cornfields or whatever, and he gets knocked out by the dude with like the cane, I think.
Yeah.
um, what the if I missed here?
Yeah, his wife was in the like beginning of the movie and then at the end to the
Yeah,
point where like I forgot what his wife looked like by the time she reemerged. I was like, oh yeah, that's what his wife was.
Yeah. The film was edited by Sam Osteen, who was I know he edited Rosemary's Baby, and he also edited Chinatown. So he brought back one of the OGs for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the I know a lot of people consider this like Polanski's best film. I think that's spot still reserved for either Chinatown or Rosemary's Baby. They figure out that so Michelle, the Emmanuel Sagnier character, she is a drug trafficker, basically, but she's just kind of a mercenary about it, and doesn't really know who she works for or care. She just needs the money.
Right.
And we figure out that the thing that she was transferring or trafficking was this Statue of Liberty replica that has a nuclear detonator into it. This is very 1988 Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher.
Like
uh,
it was as soon as they like took the thing out of the statue, I was like, what the fuck? What is this? And they're like, it's a Krytron. I was like, yeah, a Krytron.
go off is Superman.
There's there's a hyperlink on the Wikipedia to Krytrons, and I don't want to click it. I don't think I care. It's the MacGuffin of the movie. That's got the Israelis, the Arabs, and the Americans, and the French authority as well, like all scrambling. And Harrison Ford, despite like the world superpower government, Israel and fucking France, all being like trying to stop these Arabs, it's up to Harrison Ford at the end to punch the guy. Like that's how deep in this plot he is.
Yeah, I think it really how they kind of come together is the Sandra, his wife, is unable to unlock her suitcase, and they figure out that she picked up the wrong one, and it turns out that was the suitcase carrying the Statue of Liberty thing.
Yeah.
And because she picked up the wrong one, Sandra gets kidnapped as ransom to get a hold of this, and basically the whole mystery of the film is Harrison Ford figuring out, one, where his wife is, two, what do they have,
Right.
and
it's surprisingly far in the movie where you figure out that the thing he's supposed to be getting or supposed to deliver to them is the Statue of Liberty, like little model in the suitcase.
Yeah, it's a very like the call is coming from inside the house kind of moment.
Slow burn experience as well.
But never boring.
No. Harrison Ford like is the kind of screen presence where like I don't think he could do something that's boring.
Right, yeah. I'd be like mildly curious to see his like later work. I was less enthused by Blade Runner 2049 than others.
Yeah.
But maybe I need to rewatch it. Yeah, it's a great thriller. It's about living and staying alive.
It also has David Huddleston in it, who plays he plays the Big Lebowski in The Big Lebowski, the guy in the wheelchair. I noticed that as soon as I saw his character, I was like, "Oh shit, it's him!" Because I've seen that movie like an obscene amount of times because I was that guy in high school that thought that movie was the funniest thing ever.
And it's pretty close.
It's pretty funny. It still holds up. I was hanging out with a friend a couple months ago, and he just put that movie on, and I was like, dude. Not saying dude is in reference to the dude in the movie, just like I was like, man, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's the one I go kind of back and forth on the Coen brothers. I've seen a few of them. I wasn't too into Fargo. I liked most of No Country for Old Men. the ending didn't really do it for me, but maybe I need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Um, I liked Blood Simple, and I liked The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
I think that's all I've seen though, so I think I need to watch more of them. I've heard I'd probably like A Simple Plan. Is that them or is that Raimi?
Uh,
That might be Raimi. Yeah, it's Sam
I
Raimi. Never mind.
uh, I think like last year I watched Inside Llewyn Davis, the one with
Oh yeah,
uh Oscar Isaac,
yeah, yeah.
and that was a movie.
one of the movies of all time.
It was depressing, man. I mean, and that's not a reason to not like a movie. I probably have to watch it
Sure, yeah,
like again to to
yeah,
truly
yeah.
give an opinion on it right now. Oh brother, where art? That was pretty funny too.
Oh yeah.
I would recommend that
What
one.
was what was the one? Maybe Miller's Crossing. I think was the one.
The Ballad
Yeah,
of
I think
Buster
that.
Scruggs has like 2 funny short films in it because it's like a collection of like 6. I like 2 of them.
I've heard it's real bad.
Really?
That's been like every person describing Buster Scruggs to me
Yeah.
that it's really bad.
There's it's uh yeah. Sure.
I also I also feel like I would like Raising Arizona.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that one. Um
Anyway, that's
yeah.
Coen Brothers.
Random Coen Brothers tangent. Yeah,
Uh,
I think Frantic was really really good. It wasn't on any streaming services here, so I did have to rent that one.
yeah,
Same with
I had found.
Bitter Moon as well. Is it available on streaming services in the U.S. or did you have to watch it like
No,
physical?
I I have a DVD of it. I found
Okay.
it in a like one of those like Walmart style like double packs with Presumed Innocent, another
Uh,
thriller with Harrison with Harrison Ford. Um,
when you said Walmart, I thought you were going to talk about those giant fucking things they have with like 1,000 DVD cases in it at the store where it's like
yeah,
$5 movies or whatever. You know
yeah, it
those
was
things.
that kind of thing with like the two movies or like at Dollar General when they have like um the 3-pack of the I um I Spit on Your Grave remakes or whatever.
Right, right.
It was kind of one of those. And then Bitter Moon, I bought the Kino Lorber Blu-ray a while back,
Mm.
and I just hadn't gotten around to it. Um, yeah, I mean, Frantic's really good. It's a little hard to find too many things to say about it. Do you have anything else on
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I mean it's a pretty straightforward thriller. Uh,
Yeah,
Definitely worth a watch. Even just like visually, um,
right.
like as an experience, the kind of streets of Paris. There's a some really cool. There's like a really cool scene where I actually thought it was pretty funny where they're at the airport and he meets up with the David Huddleston's character and he's just hanging out with this chick that's just like dressed like in like fucking punk attire.
Right, yeah.
And all of his friends who are like in the medical establishment are kind of like not commenting on the fact that he's just standing there with this lady and they like know his wife but they don't know his wife's been kidnapped and then the guy's like, "Oh, can you help me with my bags?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." And then he goes and helps him with the bags, and she has like fucked off. She like left because at that point in the story, she just wanted her suitcase. So
Yeah,
like,
right.
as soon as the suitcase was unattended, she just left, and he like chases her through the like multi-layered parking garage. He's like running up the
Right.
stairs, and then he sees her at the like the ticket booth thing and she's like arguing with the guy because she doesn't want to pay him for having parked there. Instead of like getting in the car and being mad at her, he just hands her money. He's like, "Give it to the man," and they just drive off.
Yeah,
It's a great sequence as he's like running up the stairs to find out where the hell she is.
right.
Uh, yeah, I
It's
don't really have too much to say.
Yeah, I like the like opening part of it. It reminds me of the opening of House on the Edge of the Park and What, the other Polanski movie.
Right.
Um, of just like scenes of, I don't know, something about scenes of like driving to open a movie. There's something kind of cozy about it. I don't know.
I don't know if I'd call the opening
and
to the fuck was that movie called? House on the Edge of the Park.
House on the Edge of the Park. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call that opening cozy. I mean,
Well,
I guess it was
I'm
cozy
mostly talking
until...
about frantic. yeah. Mostly talking about frantic with the cozy part, but
yeah, it's that was our first fucking episode, dude, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
What an insane idea to start with that and Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way Joe's gonna say yes to our first episode being these psychotic movies.
And then I was immediately like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Go for it. And what I think was it? Who joined in the VC in the middle of like the worst scene in House on the Edge of the Park?
Oh, that was Seamus's brother.
Yeah.
His brother joined. He was like, oh.
He joins like, oh, what are you guys watching? I'm like,
Cannibal Holocaust.
Okay, it's
or no, it wasn't a Cannibal Holocaust. It was
House on the Edge of the Park. And I was like trying to describe to him, and he jumps in. It's like the worst, most like horrifying scene in the movie. He's like, "Oh fuck, this is awful."
He just left. I think.
Yeah, understandable.
Right.
It's quite the movie. And we were talking about this before we started recording, but apparently Polanski plays the cab driver at the beginning, and neither of us recognized this.
Yeah, I knew he was in the movie because I read it on the Wikipedia that he was like in the cast. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I'll have to keep an eye out. Didn't keep an eye out apparently.
Nope. It has a pretty tragic end in the Chinatown mode of the kind of quasi femme fatale character who turns out not to be so much of a femme fatale. Meets her own fatality, I guess.
Yeah, that femme is fatale, as they say, because she fucking died at the end.
Bitch dead.
I thought there was going to be like, he's a surgeon, he can save her, but no, she just dies. And I was like, oh, damn, that sucks. And he kind of, there's like this weird moment where the Israeli guys show up, and they're like, do you have it? And he's like, this is what you wanted, and he like chucks it in the river, and then he like leaves. Where he was like, it's kind of funny that Israel sent like two bumbling retards to like secure this nuclear detonation device. And the United States also sent two bumbling idiots that get pepper sprayed by a fucking drug trafficker, and then they never show up again in the movie.
And she also accidentally pepper sprays
Harrison Ford. Yeah, the scene after that's great when she's putting the eye drops in his eyes to help him out.
It's so good. I kind of like how you think there's going to be this like in Polanski's first movie, Knife in the Water, there's going to be this like adultery like subplot.
Yeah, and there wasn't.
And it's just not there, and it's totally a like hyper romantic. I want my wife back. I don't care about this dumb bitch. Like, I mean, I care about her, but like, I don't want her to die. But I'm not fucking her or whatever.
Right.
So I thought that was like an interesting change of pace because like Polanski's first movie, Knife in the Water, I was Polish, and it got, I want to say it won Best Foreign Language Film or was nominated.
Mm-hmm.
And it got Polanski in Time magazine, I believe, like on the cover or something.
Yeah,
wild.
there's no like infidelity subplot, but there's a lot of implied infidelity, like in the eyes of the other characters around Harrison Ford, because he's associating with this lady the entire movie. Like, I was like almost laughing my ass off when he's writing her a fucking check in his destroyed hotel room in front of the police. Like, it looked like he was just paying a fucking prostitute.
And then he ends up having to be like, hey, you guys are French, right? Like, can we just like keep this on the down
Yeah.
low? Like,
Insane scene. Because
yeah,
like at first it doesn't even seem like he realizes what it looks like, and he's just sitting there like writing the check. It's like, oh,
yeah,
2,000. That's like 11,000 francs, right?
yeah. And then she comes up to him and is like, I need money for food. And
Yeah, he's like, oh, here you go.
Fine. There's almost this kind of like paternal like relationship that he develops with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frantic, Roman Polanski, really great movie. Think we will move on to Bitter Moon, which I actually watched first. Well, I had seen Frantic a year or so ago, and I just
watched Bitter
it.
Moon first as well.
Yeah.
So a bit of a reverse order on this one. Typically, we watch them in like the order of they were released in. But yeah, I don't think this one was quite my speed as far as like a kind of movie.
Sure, yeah.
Not quite my tempo, as it were. I still thought it was good, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The plot of Frantic was a lot more engaging to me, though.
Sure, yeah.
But Bitter Moon was really fun. It's about Hugh Grant and his wife are on this like little like it's not even a cruise. Is it a cruise?
I think it's a cruise.
Yeah, it was like a cruise ship.
It's another Polanski boat movie. Yeah. His first movie, Knife in the Water, he did a pirate movie,
right?
Which I desperately want to see.
I think it would have been really funny to pair that with this and just call the episode Polanski Boat Movie.
Yeah.
Oh well, we're already going with the other title, but that's funny.
And the connection with this one, so it stars Peter Coyote, Emmanuel Seigner, who are married, and Hugh Grant and Kristen Scott Thomas, who are also married. This one does have a like an infidelity subplot or plot.
The plot is driven by Hugh Grant wanting to fuck this lady.
Yeah, and so the way this is about how much Polanski loves his wife, he makes his wife look fucking hot in this movie, and that's the whole reason for it to exist.
I haven't even said this yet, but it was more true in Frantic than it was in this. But but his wife looks like a gender swapped Cillian Murphy.
Yeah,
and I think it's literally just the eyes. Like there's just general face shape and the eyes. It's like that is Cillian coded right there. Or I guess he is Emmanuel coded because I think she's older than him.
Sure, yeah.
So
they're on this cruise ship from Istanbul to India. I think this one will require a bit more of a quote-unquote plot summary, and we'll just kind of talk about it through the end, because I think this one's a bit more complex than Frantic.
Sure.
Because it has a lot to do with like flashbacks and things going on. So they're going from Istanbul to India, and they encounter Mimi, who's Emmanuel Seigner, and she's crazy hot, and Nigel's into her, and ends up meeting her disabled husband, played by Peter Coyote, who is amazing in the movie, by the way.
Yeah, his performance is great. Some really insane dialogue from that character. He says some really wild shit.
Some crazy stuff. And he's really, the crux of the movie is him telling the story of his marriage to Mimi.
Yeah, and it's fucked up.
The ups and downs of that marriage, and mostly downs, to be honest.
Yeah.
There is, so he periodically invites Nigel, who again is Hugh Grant's character, to his cabin in the ship to just tell him the story, because they come across each other because he's into Mimi and is hanging out with her.
And he fails to hit on her at the bar.
Yeah.
And he kind of like rolls up in his wheelchair, and he's like, you want to have sex with my wife? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he's just like, come to my cabin and I'll tell you the sickest, most depraved shit we did back when my legs worked. And he's like,
Yeah.
he does. He goes to his room and he hangs out. There's like several points because the him telling his life story takes like several days of the cruise.
Yeah.
Like with brief periods of telling the story, and every time he gets so into listening to the story that time escapes him and he misses like going to like dinner with his wife and stuff like that. Like he's just so engrossed by this dude's like fucking
sadomasochistic psychosexual thing.
Some of his dialogue is just straight up like he was like a fucking erotica novelist.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure his character was a writer in the movie too.
So yes, he's a writer that like never gets published. Yeah. Which it sounds like he should have just written erotica and he would have gotten published.
Yeah, there's parts where he's like describing things in such ridiculous detail, and it's like, what the fuck am I listening to right now?
and Nigel's like, oh my god, man, what is your problem?
But he's also like taking notes.
Yeah, he's like, write that down. And there are a few different scenes that show that Nigel's like a total fucking beta. And there's the like alpha beta dichotomy between Peter Coyote and Nigel, even though by the end Peter Coyote is revealed to be a beta, the ultimate beta as well.
Yeah.
But like there's a scene early on where Nigel with his wife, who he's the one who's refusing to have children, which is also a thing that shows up in the movie as like a kind of tension between Nigel and his wife because she wants kids. It's probably an interesting thing about like what Polanski thinks about child rearing because of Sharon Tate getting murdered because she was pregnant with his kid at the time.
Right.
And so there's this one really really funny part of Nigel meets an actual Indian guy and they're like he and his wife are having like breakfast with him, and he's describing how he's going to India because he thinks India has a lot to teach the West or something. And the Indian guy's like, dude, India's a piece of shit. Like, why are you going there?
he's like, all that it's all bullshit. India just sucks.
Like he's like, it smells like shit and everyone's in your way. Like, why are you going there? That's why I left.
Yeah.
So just get a libtard getting schooled by an Indian dude is hilarious.
Right. It's the he's just like, your people have so much to teach us, and he's like, oh, that karma and fucking like all that other shit. No, that sucks.
That's gay.
Yeah. That guy was great. He was
I loved him.
He was the most sane character in the movie.
Yeah. And he has a daughter, and also his wife. He's a widower. His wife is dead, so maybe there's some like thematic thing that Polanski's doing there. And so he starts recalling this dalliance he has with this woman. And it starts with this meeting on a bus where he gives her his bus ticket. And then he doesn't see her again for like a year or something. And he's like spending this entire year going to this bus station looking for this woman and never finding her.
Yeah.
And it's he ends up meeting another woman who he thinks is her at a clothing store and takes her out on a date because, you know, why not? Because he's staring at her and he's like, I guess, well, you want to go out on a date? Because this is getting weird. And then they go out, and then Emmanuel Seigne's character is the waitress at that restaurant, which is kind of a contrivance, but I think it works for...
And then he immediately is just like, I want to go out with you.
Yeah.
She's like, sure.
He's like, fair, okay, dope. And so they end up starting to date, and they have like wild, passionate sex. And one of the, this is before like the sadomasochistic stuff starts. It's just like really great sex. And there is a scene where this song has been stuck in my head the past few days now. Fucking, what's it called? George Michael's Faith.
Okay.
It was playing when he says he's going to make coffee, and he makes her hot chocolate, and then he has these croissants he like microwaves and takes them out, and he sets them down, and George Michael's Faith is playing, and they just start fucking, and they don't touch the hot chocolate or the croissants. It was a very like Lubitchian shot of the like little platter just like moving as they're like thrusting.
Uh-huh.
Great. So that's kind of like the good part of the relationship. And then as it descends, they just kind of start like getting less interested in each other. So they start trying new things. They explore like the bondage and the sadomasochistic stuff. And
he's wearing a fucking pig mask.
pig mask.
Hiding behind the curtain.
Yeah. And then like this is like later on, but he talks at one point.
Yeah, and she's like, how am I supposed to believe that a pig can talk? This is bullshit. I was like, what?
And then he's like, I don't really believe it either.
It would be hard to truly believe that you are a pig. So
yeah.
There's a Norm bit about a hypnotist turning people.
Okay.
This is totally fucking stupid, but he was on like I think it was like Conan or something. Or no, you know what? It was David Letterman. He was on David Letterman's show, and he was saying like that he when he was in Canada, he saw this hypnotist guy that would like convince people they were like a football player, and like he would convince one guy he was one thing and another guy he was another thing, and then he would have them like running around acting all crazy in the audience. And he had one guy think he was a chicken. And Norm saw the guy in the parking lot later smoking a cigarette, and he's like, "Hey man, what was it like being a chicken?" And then the guy was like, "Oh yeah, it was great." He's like, "Wait, you remember? Like you remember thinking you were a chicken?" And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, definitely." And then Norm was like, "Wouldn't like if you genuinely thought you were a chicken, like wouldn't you just like when you snap out of it?" He just like does this like long like PTSD 1,000-yard stare. Of like having to reorient your entire existence after believing you were a chicken.
Yeah, like the Cooper stare.
Yeah. And David Letterman's just like laughing his ass off. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and by
tangent over.
So as the kind of like the sexual aspect of the relationship just kind of plunders, Emmanuel Senier's character won't fucking leave.
Yeah.
And by the way, side note, there's this one scene where she like pours milk on her tits.
Yeah.
And Peter Coyote just like licks it off.
Yeah.
Polanski a dog. Yeah.
I believe that's one of the pictures on the IMDb page for that movie.
Yeah. Might have to make that the thumbnail to get people to watch.
I don't think you could put that in a YouTube thumbnail.
Probably not. And so she won't leave, and so he decides to become just a giant fucking piece of shit to her, to make her want to leave. And like she eventually like becomes so depressed that like she starts losing her figure, or she's breaking out in acne from all the stress, and he's just like a total like psychotic piece of shit to her in public, just the most like demented ways, like constantly like hounding her for her loss of figure, and so it's like really gross. And he eventually gets her to leave by promising her a Caribbean vacation, and then just leaving her on the plane, and then fucking off.
Right.
And then basically as comeuppance, he gets hit by a bus. there's some stuff that happens in between there, but that's basically what happens.
He like spends like 2 years just like partying and just like having a bunch of one night stands with random ladies and stuff. There's a really funny scene where he's like talking to a lady at a grocery store while she's got her kid in like the fucking cart. And then the next scene is at the lady's house, and he's like fucking her in the room, and like the grocery bags are like strewn all over the floor, and the kid is like going through the groceries in the other room.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck kind of scene is this? And then he like steps out of a car and immediately gets run over.
Yeah. And he gets a fractured femur, and he gets he's in the hospital, and then eventually Emmanuelle Seigner comes back looking as good as she used to.
Right. And she like immediately fucks him up.
Yeah. She gives him flowers and then throws him on the ground, causing him to be permanently paralyzed.
Yeah.
Like,
the relationship after that, where she kind of just like is just tormenting him. It's like it's kind of a comeuppance. I guess getting hit by a fucking bus is a comeuppance enough. But like she's like the part that really fucked me up was when he was talking about needing his needle like every day, and how he doesn't, if she keeps putting it in the same spot, it causes his leg to shake. And she keeps putting it in that exact same spot, and there's like this big mark on his leg. And
it's like tender. There's a welt there. It's like really
awful. Yeah, there's a shot where she actually sticks the needle into his leg, and you see the needle go in, or like a prop one that looks like it's going in, and you're just like, yep, don't like that. Not good. You don't even have to like not like needles to hate that scene.
Yeah. There's a part where Nigel's wife says, "Anything that you can do, I can do better." When Nigel's like trying to cheat on his wife with Emmanuelle Seigner. And then she ends up by the
cheating
end
on
him with Emmanuelle Seigner. Yeah.
That's the ending was wild because like it's like a New Year's party, right? And she just like goes off with Mimi, and the way that what was Peter Coyote's character's name? Oscar, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember his name. I don't think it really came up all that much. But yeah, he's like in his wheelchair in the room, and he's like, it's like he's calling you in to show you like the cat doing something funny, and he's like trying to be quiet. He's like, come look. And then he like slowly opens the door, and they're just laying there naked. He's like, he's like, what the fuck's happening?
There was that one scene where Emmanuelle Seigner tells Mimi tells Nigel to meet at her cabin at like 5 or whatever. And he comes in and is like asking if she's there, and he sees her sleeping on the bed and like starts kissing her hand. And then it's actually Oscar in the
bed. He's like, this is how you two get your sick kicks.
He's like, I feel bad for you.
Yeah. Great like funny moment, I guess. And then the ending is holy shit. Oscar is just kind of like at that point just done, I guess. So he there was a scene earlier on where he kind of explains that her tormenting him got him to the point where he wanted to die, but she wouldn't kill him. And she bought him a handgun.
Bought him a gun,
for his birthday or whatever. And he uses
basic bitch stuff. It's basic bitch stuff, but it's Chekhov's gun just happening right there.
Yeah, literally. And then at the end of the movie, he just kind of, the way he takes the gun out, and then Nigel's like, give me the gun, give me the gun. And then he shoots Mimi while she's sleeping. She doesn't even like spaz out or anything, or like the first shot instantly kills her. Like she doesn't even wake up. And then
he Kurt Cobain's.
He shoots himself, and great squib, I gotta say.
Yeah.
always a fan of a good back of the head squib. You know?
need at Daily Squibs to post Bitter Moon by Roman Polanski.
Right. It's a good one.
Yeah, it works. What there was, I feel like there was something else I was trying to say earlier, but I missed it. Probably not that important.
Yeah. I like how
Yeah,
the actual ending of the movie is immediately following that scene. It's just like paramedics taking their bodies off in
yeah,
stretchers, and then Nigel and his wife talking to that Indian guy's daughter, and it's like it's almost like it's unspoken basically, but they kind of have this moment of like, man, they were fucked up. Our problems are nothing. And then they're like talking to
yeah,
this little girl. It's like maybe they should have a kid, you know?
yeah.
Their problems are behind them now. These people were too fucked up, and they saw it.
Yeah, it's kind of a really great love story, even in the twisted way that it is of um, those two. Like, oh yeah, the thing that I was going to mention was he Oscar gets Mimi pregnant and makes her get an abortion, and then she says later on that the abortion
Cause some
resulted in
infection, right?
causing an infection, which I didn't even know this was a thing. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah,
Um,
where she's now
and
just incapable of having
she's
children.
infertile. Yeah.
Right.
So she basically, like, it's not just like he destroyed her in that moment. He like completely destroyed her ability to have kids after that.
Right.
And so she like you start to kind of understand the retribution she takes on him
Oh
after
yeah.
that.
I mean, he was a despicable character. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But even so, like you felt bad when he was just like, "Why aren't you killing me? Why don't you just kill
Yeah.
me?" It's
Yeah.
like, holy shit! Like seeing a human being reduced to that, it's a great
Yeah.
performance. Like it's kind of interesting seeing like the differences in his physical performance from like the scenes where he first met her to
Mhm.
uh by the time where he's just like this ragged shell of a man
Yeah.
who
Yeah. He's
who
American, but he has British teeth.
yeah, by the end of the movie, like the literal only enjoyment he can get out of life is just like uh messing with Nigel and killing his wife. Like that's it.
Yeah.
I don't even think he got any
It's,
enjoyment out of killing his wife. Actually, I think like just this weird, sick pleasure of like messing with Nigel was like the only thing he really had at the end.
yeah. Yeah. It's I think they call this like a pot boiler. I don't know. Um, I'd have to look up what that term means, but the music is by Vangelis, who I believe did the music for Blade Runner.
Oh,
I want to say
okay.
um, it's a great score as well. Um, Blade Runner, yeah, as well as a bunch of other shit. It's a great soundtrack. There's a "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This" shows up at one point.
Yeah, wild soundtrack for this movie.
Yeah, like wall to wall hits.
Hmm.
um, of course, I mentioned George Michael's "Faith." Um, I can't remember the other stuff. I I because I think I'd seen Frantic before, so like I was less surprised by it. But this one kind of caught me off guard. I really enjoyed Bitter Moon.
The soundtrack surprised me for it,
Yeah, yeah,
and I still think I prefer Frantic, but by no means is it a bad movie because it just wasn't.
yeah,
It was good. Uh, pretty much every performance in it was great. I think Peter Coyotes was definitely the highlight just because like the range of his character from like not youthful but more youthful than how he was at the end just
yeah, yeah,
uh fantastic.
yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Roman Polanski sure does love his wife double feature. Um, Frantic and Bitter Moon. We think we'll call it there. Next week's going to be a little different because Joe's got some stuff he's got to deal with. So I will be solo. I'll just be talking about some stuff that I watched last year, new stuff that I really liked, some I really hated. I'm just gonna kind of rant about different movies and what I think the state of cinema is, because I'm definitely qualified to give that.
Definitely. And we will be back on track. Back with the duo on the 19th. Unless
Yes.
there's a delay and then it comes up on the 20th, but pretty sure it'll be the 19th.
Yes. And so like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Even if you're not watching on YouTube, just like and subscribe there. We need to get those.
Yeah, we're at
Numbers
268.
up.
I don't remember what the sub count was last time, but I think it was closer. I think it was like
I think it was 262 last time.
Yeah, so we've gotten a couple.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense because there was like 900 views on one of our videos. So
yeah, leave a review on your favorite podcast streaming app. The big ones are Spotify and Apple. Hell, leave a review on all of them, even if you don't listen on there. I guess it helps.
yeah,
Tell a friend.
support
not.
the podcast in some
Yeah,
way that takes 2 seconds of your time.
that is not financial, because eventually we'll have to ask for money from.
Yeah, we'll get all you pay pigs out there.
Yeah.
What was-
dropping the. What was that meme?
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Just throwing this at the end because it was so funny when I saw it the other day. Yeah, it was a meme that I saw on Twitter where it's just from a TikTok video or something. That this it's just a screenshot of it where it says me explaining to a Gen Z my parents' hetero fin dom pay pig consensual breeding fetish co-parenting situationship, and then in parentheses it says a Catholic marriage.
Basically a Roman Polanski movie.
And
all right,
with that, I think that's we'll call it there.
See you next time.
Yeah, see ya.